Blocked. It was blocked, y'all. Oh, my God. Who got the ball? Did they fuck it up? Did we not get it? Oh, God. Oh. I hate this team. Oh, fuck. You got to be shitting me. Well, good morning, good people. Mark Holmes here, of course, with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as the Funky Chicken. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. I hope everybody is having a great day. It is week number 15 in the NFL season. My God, it has gone by so fast. We have the Rams in San Francisco tonight, a game that would have actually mattered for us had we won against Cincinnati, but in the grand scheme of things, we have about a 1% chance of making the playoffs here. And playoffs, don't talk about playoffs, Mark. We can definitely bury that thing. And I'm going to tell you that, man, it's hard to be a Cowboy fan. You saw me literally in agony there, living and dying with this team, riding the roller coaster, the ups and the downs, and just trying to find a way to enjoy being a football fan. And, you know, you get it. You're going to have bad seasons. I mean, after the 2014 season, we had the 2015 season, and it was awful. You know, we had one win without our quarterback. One. And when things like that happen, it's expected that you're not going to be as good. Because if you could win games with your backup quarterback, your starting quarterback probably wouldn't be there and getting paid. But the reality is when you look at what's happened to the Cowboys this season, from a lack of acquiring players, problems with some of the drafted players that you've had, having a thin, top-heavy roster, and having lost so many of them, it's hard to win. And you get that, and you start thinking, okay, well, here's the good news. We're going to get a higher draft pick. And quite frankly, I'm trying to sugarcoat this, and people can laugh at me all they want. But I can say, well, hell, you know, we're going to have a higher draft pick this year. We could be a top 10 pick. That's good news. Quite frankly, us winning against Cincinnati or Carolina and some of these games going down the stretch, you know, makes it worse draft pick. That maybe there's some hope for the future. But unfortunately, the hopes for the future may be dashed. Let me say shout out to the Mike Fishers and the Jeffrey Kavanaughs and things that have also been out there spreading the news about where we stand with the cap going forward. You may not have liked what the Cowboys have done this year, and a lot of people say it's a waste of money paying CD and Dak and things like that don't really understand how the cap works, and not signing any free agents for the short term, because typically free agents have a shelf life of about 2 seasons, and you are going to pay a premium on them. that the Cowboys said, we're going to go with what we have, and roll the dice and save some money. And you figured, okay, they saved some money. We'll roll that into next year with the cap space that we have, and then we can start doing something. But Stephen Jones, it's either he doesn't really understand how these things work, and they have the owners meeting in Dallas this week, or he's just dirt cheap. I don't know which it is, but this is what he said yesterday. Cowboys Executive Vice President Jones on how the team will approach the offseason as he sees similar issues ahead in 25 as what the team had in 24. I think we knew we were going to have a challenge in 24 and 25. It's going to be really, really tight. We still have some money left over from guys who are not here today. And you're going to have some other guys that won't be here in the future that you're still going to have to count on the cap. Now, as a fan that has literally gone through hell, who has been dying, when they say diehard fan, I have been dying hard as a fan of the Cowboys. When you hear things like that, then you go, oh, God, here we go. It's the return of Catboy. And he is right about we do have to pay money to guys who aren't here. And here's what I'm going to pull up for you guys is over the cap, okay? So as we sit here today, we have $19.8 million in cap space. Whatever they don't use will be rolled over into next year, which will be the beginning of the league year in March 15th. Somewhere in there, you'll have an increase in the salary cap. We don't know exactly what. We do know that gambling money is definitely increasing, and that they are putting football games on more platforms. So we have the Christmas games coming up that'll be on Netflix. You've got Piedmont and Paramount TV. You've got YouTube TV. You got Amazon TV. And so now you're having to pay for these games where it used to be on free television. So that's more revenue that'll come in. I don't know that the gate revenue is better. It certainly probably isn't in Dallas, although those were season tickets that were sold before the season started. I don't know how many will renew next year. But be that as it may, what you have here, when we go down and he talks about paying money to people who aren't here, if you look at this situation, because this goes back to the Cowboys, we're paying $6 million of dead money, not his contract, but dead money for the second year for Zeke Elliott because they cut him. Yeah, I bet a lot of people didn't know that. Tyron Smith, $6 million because we cut him. Michael Gallup, $4.3 million, and it's another $9 million this year. Dorrance Armstrong, Leighton Vander Esch. Look, Leighton Vander Esch, you got two. I don't know how we got two. Why they didn't just put it together. Andrew Booth, Boss Man Fat. We're still paying Boss Man Fat on there. Jordan Phillips. We traded a draft pick for Jordan Phillips. Yeah, we did. So, yeah, we got Jordan Phillips twice. So when you look at this, and we could go, there's some of them that are, Josh Ball is, $100,000. But $27 million of the money spent this year was dead contracts alone. And I'm going to say, to me, one that should be a dead contract is Trey Lance, because that's another $5 million that we spent for a green quarterback, as Stephen Jones put it out there. And here's where it really sucks. And this is why you realize we can't win when you look at currently the people on injured reserve. Dak Prescott, $44 million. D-Law, Zach Martin, Sam Williams, Marquez Bell, Asim Richards, Celan Carson, John Steven, Nathan Jr., Earl Bostic Jr., Josh Butler. That's $86 million. $86 million of your cap currently that is sitting on injured reserve. And those aren't the only ones that have been on injured reserve, which you start looking and saying that, Deron Bland is on IR, okay? You've got Diggs, who's been injured in and out the lineup. You've had Kendricks missing time. You've got, of course, your number one draft pick, Tyler Guyton, who has been injured so many times this season. And so as you go down through here, here's the thinking that I'm going to tell you that we have right now with Stephen Jones. Stephen Jones is going to have plausible deniability for the season. They're going to look at this and say, well, if we had all these players, then we've been better. If we had Dak Prescott, we now know that Rico can run, and that's a better formula for us, and that with the players that we had, we actually started getting better on defense. We took the number 5 offense and held them to 20 points until the end of the game. That they're playing better, an offense that got to their average by the end of the game because of our own issues. So Stephen Jones is going to look at this and say, we're doing the right things. We had 3 years of 12-5, so we're not going to change what we're going to do, which is, oh God. Now, there's many out there that look at this and say, we need to fire the coach. In the same way people say we need to move on from the quarterback. I hear what you're saying, and I'm not on the bandwagon or off the bandwagon for Mike McCarthy. My whole thing is if you're going to get rid of the coach, then what are you going to bring in that's going to be better? I need to see something that gives me hope, okay? That's the bottom line. If you're doing away with something, what are you going to do to replace it with something better? And herein lies the problem for the Cowboys. When the Cowboys let go all of the players they had, the Dante Fowlers, the Lance or Torrance Armstrongs, the Biotish, Stephon Gilmore. There's nothing wrong with letting people go. But you need to at least replace them with people that are comparable or preferably better. And as it sits right now, with Bill Belichick saying, going surprisingly to the NCAA with UNC, that's another one of those ones that we look at and say, yeah, he's gone. Rightly or wrongly, he would definitely have been an improvement over Mike McCarthy. Not part of the equation. There was Dion a couple weeks ago, and you look at it and say, yeah, he has a coach as a pro, but what he has been able to do has been really good. But Dion, kind of has killed all that he's going back to college where he's a god. Not that he wasn't a god with everything else that he did, but, do you want to leave that to deal with the Jerry Jones mess? The Lions coordinator basically put it on blast that I'm not looking to work in a situation that's dysfunctional like yours. So now you start looking at the pool of candidates that are out there. And I have to say this. If I am a coach, why would I want to go to Dallas? I bet Dan Quinn is thinking, thank God I didn't get hired as the head coach for the Cowboys. I'm here in Washington, a downtrodden franchise, but that has an owner and GM that are literally trying to give me everything that I need to be successful. They're not out on Front Street, even though they've got Magic Johnson. They're not out here cutting me off at the knees. And so as you start looking at this may be the realization of the Cowboys organization is nobody really wants to come here and be the coach. Not anybody with any credibility. Not anybody who's looking at this to say, I plan on being, one of the great ones. That they're kind of screwed in that situation. So you look at this and say, you've already got ownership saying, we're going to be challenged like we were this year. Oh, wait a minute. Who did you sign in free agency? Even though you could have had Derrick Henry, you could have, wait. You could have had Derrick Henry. He wanted to come here, and you said he's too expensive and doesn't fit what you do. Isn't that the coach's thing to say who fits, right? The only moves that they did, Dak and CD. Dak and CD. So why, as a coach, would I want to go there? They're not about winning. We haven't even finished this season. We're already talking, it's going to be really, really, not just one really. Yeah, I mean, hey, man, it's going to be tight. It's going to be really, really tight. He's telling you we're not spending any money on free agents. We believe in our own guys. We're going to run the same shit back. As far as Mike McCarthy goes with Stephen Jones, I think he's done an outstanding job. I mean, our guys are playing hard, and he's got them competing. That was a tough game against Cincinnati on Monday night, but guys played hard. I thought our defense did a great job against one of the best players in the NFL in Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. And Cooper Rush did a nice job of protecting the ball and keeping us in it. So, yeah. But then asked if, is he bringing him back? And he's basically saying, we're focused in on the next game. Now, some people will take it as, he's not guaranteed to come back. If you're negotiating a contract, your best way to get the most out of it, and if you're buying a car, is the ability to walk away from it. I don't really need you. But if I know you need a car tomorrow because you got to go to work, then I know I can screw you over. I'm going to get more money for this car. You're going to pay for the undercarriage, spray or sealing and this, that, and the other. You're going to pay through the nose because you're desperate. And Stephen Jones is trying not to be desperate. I guess the backup plan could be that Mike Zimmer could become the head coach if they decided to fire him and they were looking down at the pool of possible candidates. But again, that goes back to doing the same things that we've always been doing. So today, I'm not feeling good about where we're headed for this offseason. Now, maybe the first week or two of free agency, maybe the Cowboys are just, faking it, and maybe they do something to give you hope of something different. But until then, there's no reason to have any hope with the Cowboys. So, Bill Belichick. Let's listen to Get Up This Morning on Bill Belichick.
What we are going to spend a great deal of this morning talking about. You see the squad we've put together, including the man you want to hear from all morning long. Plus, we have a variety of guests, most of whom played for Bill over the years, coming off this huge news in the football world. In case you have not heard, 6-time Super Bowl winning head coach Bill Belichick has been named the new head coach at the University of North Carolina. UNC says the sides have agreed to a 5-year deal, which is scheduled to be approved by the Board of Trustees today. There has obviously already been tons of reaction, including this from our friend Michael Wilbon, who is intrigued by the new challenge ahead for the greatest coach ever.
Being the GOAT in the profession he's been in, it doesn't mean you get to go to something familiar when you go to college sports today. NIL and the transfer portal have changed everything. Bill Belichick had total control in New England. In college now, you have to deal with elements that he may not want to. Bill's going to be walking into that world, which nobody knows quite how to handle. I'm actually much more excited to see what's going to happen with Bill Belichick in North Carolina than I would be if he'd gone to the Falcons.
I think a lot of people feel that way. Intriguing for certain. That may be the only thing that is certain. Put your feet up. I'm not taking a commercial for a long time. Here we go. Shefty, unload on us, if you will, here. How did this happen?
I think we go back to last offseason in the National Football League. And we go back to Bill Belichick interviewing and being a finalist for the Atlanta Falcons head coaching job, and the Falcons deciding to go with Raheem Morris. The Washington Commanders had a phone call with Bill Belichick and ultimately decided to go with Dan Quinn. And I think Bill Belichick looks at the NFL and doesn't trust that the league is going to make the right decision. There is uncertainty about whether or not he would get a head coaching job at the NFL level at this time. And he, at his core, is a coach and wants to coach. He can be doing all the Manning casts he wants. He can be doing all the Pat McAfee shows he wants. The fact of the matter is he loves coaching. North Carolina offered certainty. And I don't think Bill Belichick goes into anything randomly without thought. He has it well thought out. He has it researched. He has a plan. He knows just how he will attack it and what he will bring to the university. And so when the school idea comes up, some people might not think it's a natural, but Bill Belichick always has been willing to go against the grain. He is a contrarian. When everybody's going one way, he's happy to go another. And at a time where we see a lot of college coaches trying to flee the game because it's become more like a business, we see Bill Belichick going the opposite way to the college game. He did not trust NFL people to do the right thing during this head coaching cycle. He knew that he could get this job. And so when there was a 5-year agreement being waved at him in a place where his father was an assistant coach in the 1950s, it became a natural. And one other thing that Hembo helped point out, his coaching idol was Paul Brown. Paul Brown won a national championship at Ohio State before going to professional football to win 7 championships. Bill Belichick is now doing a reverse Paul Brown. He won all those championships and is now going back to college to see what type of success he could have there.
There are so many dynamics to this that are fascinating. A lot of the traditional college coaches have gotten out because it's become so much more like the pros. Bill Belichick is accustomed to the pros. Maybe he's less uncomfortable with the pieces of this that people like Nick Saban and at a different level, Jay Wright might be uncomfortable with. Dan, I have a million different questions, but first blush reaction.
I love it. I love everything about it. I love it for college football. I love it for Bill Belichick. I think everybody in the ACC is like, gosh darn it, dude. Now we got to deal with Bill Belichick. I think the fringe, middle of the pack SEC schools are like, mother effer, dude, because the reality is most kids want to go play in the SEC. Most kids. And everybody else wants to go play for a coach. And if you think about the 2 coaches right now in college football that unequivocally players will search out playing for, one was Deion Sanders. I think now it will be Bill Belichick, and I think it's awesome for college football.
I'm going to dive deep into the college piece of this coming up in a few minutes. But let's live in this. You told me that you saw him in September. Yeah. I'll remind everyone J-Mac played for Bill. You saw him in September, and you had a feeling about the way he was feeling.
Yeah, because at that point, he was already killing it. You mentioned McAfee, and you mentioned the Manning cast, and I said to him, Coach, you're just a natural. You criticize us about the media, and now you're all over it. How you liking it? Sorry, J-Mac. And I knew at that point, I was like, oh, yeah, Bill's going to be coaching next year. There's no doubt about it. I think what Shefty said was a great point where no matter what, this cycle, he was going to make sure he had a job and was going to have the ability to help people reach whatever is their potential. And listening to him and talking and seeing what he's done over the past year, I think what he's done is he's sat back, he's went and visited different schools and seen exactly what this college landscape is going to take. Getting guys to the pros, helping guys to determine, all right, you know what, you want to transfer, you didn't make it in the SEC, it's not panning out. I can tell you exactly what you need to up your game to get to the level at which you want to get. And I think that's what he's going to specialize at. It's not going to be convincing a 17-year-old in high school, 18-year-old to come to the school. It's going to be those guys in that transfer portal to come help them win right away.
To piggyback off what you said about Bill Belichick and how you thought he was going to be coaching football, I think the glaring point that we know about Bill is that he loves coaching football, right? And that's the first thing. When you're going to the college game, and D.O., you watch tape every week, and J-Mac, you do as well when it comes to these college kids. I think the thing that stands out to me the most is that these guys aren't being taught the proper way on a consistent basis. Well, when it comes to Bill Belichick, he's going to make sure he's detail-oriented in everything that he teaches these young men, whether it's on the football field or off the football field. He's going to make sure they're disciplined. And he mentioned on the McAfee show that this is going to be a pipeline for the NFL. Well, what guy in their right mind, if you're a kid and you have dreams and aspirations of making it to the National Football League, and you have a guy that's won 8 NFL championships, 6 as a head coach, 2 as a defensive coordinator, and you're not going to go play for Bill Belichick? I'm going to play for a guy, Bill Belichick, or like you mentioned, Deion Sanders.
It's a destination.
Who have the ties to it.
Carolina becomes a sought-after destination now, and I think J-Mac's point of those players that want to go play in the NFL, but maybe the first year or two of college hasn't necessarily done that. All right, if you're a parent sitting in a living room, or you're one of those kids, where do we want to go? Where do I have the best chance to potentially try and build my NFL career? Go to North Carolina. Go learn from Bill Belichick and the staff he's going to put together. I think the second part is this. I fully expect North Carolina to be a top 20 program within 1 year, and I fully expect them to be a college football playoff member within 2 or 3 seasons. The ACC is a place right now that Clemson has owned for a long time. There's no question North Carolina is capable of taking over that role.
We're talking about North Carolina football.
North Carolina.
Bill Belichick has
They
brought
lost to
more
JMU
attention to
last
North
year.
Carolina football this week than it's gotten the past 3 decades.
True. Totally.
And because of all that attention, there are going to be players that follow. Why would you not want to go play for the greatest coach of all time? It's going to happen. He's going to bring credibility. He's going to bring success. And he is going to turn it into a place that players can go from there to the NFL, a pipeline, so to speak, where he gives them the training that they need.
If you will excuse.
Các bạn vừa xem xong video phân tích của chúng tôi.
Heck, okay. All right, there you have it. Bill Belichick. Another one that basically kind of decided, yeah, I'm better off anywhere but Dallas. All right, good people. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Peace.